Beautiful.
Whatever his name is.
That thing coming
Do
in.
you want to get the ball with special sauce? Mr. Blake's class, and then everybody just like I didn't see it do it.
Alright, so I'm just waiting for my projector to turn on. Did I have these sounds right? Did everyone have a good break?
Yeah.
It looks like you're all healthy, so that's exciting. We're hoping to get through the next few weeks and not have too many people out. So just make sure, yeah, if you're not healthy, don't come. We still like to see you here, but do your best. We want to keep everyone as safe as possible. I really don't want to get COVID. So.
What?
I said I really don't want to get COVID.
Does that mean we have to go to auditorium once?
What?
Wouldn't it just be
If we got COVID, does that mean we would have to go to the auditorium?
And that would teach you, and you would have to watch from the auditorium on your phone.
That's cool.
Exactly. So you actually don't want me to get.
No, you can't do that.
Yes, you can. Of course.
Nope.
No way.
Yeah, you can.
That's what the directive is. If I'm home, well, if I'm actually sick, I wouldn't do it. But if I was like quarantined, I'd teach you from home.
What if like it goes silent in an auditorium and we're just speaking?
Right, the chat.
So let's all stay healthy. Then we won't have to worry about it. Just as a reminder, there is a book. I get all of my kind of ideas out of the book, and I like do my own thing with them. Sometimes I find math books to be a little bit, or just kind of a lot. So I try to edit it down for you. But if you ever do need an extra resource, you're more than welcome to sign out a book. This is chapter 3 in the book on inequalities. And then we're going to be moving forward. Our next chapter is on functions. And then we go into things like linear functions, quadratic functions, exponential functions. What kind of functions?
Is it fun or boring?
It's functions. Get it? It's a function. So it's fun.
Okay. It's actually fun or boring? No.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Obviously. Everything's fun to me when you're a math teacher. So life is. Okay, so let's do a little quick look-ski at the first 6. So you maybe try 1 or 2 as we were starting. I'm sorry, it's like super bright today, so it's a little glary. I'm not gonna go over every one of these. You guys know how to solve an equation, so you know how to solve an inequality. Just little things like number 2, if I'm solving that and I'm dividing by a negative, you would have to flip your inequality the other way. So that's just one of those rules you just have to be on the lookout for. It's just gonna kind of randomly pop up in your problems. And then just make sure you know how to graph it. At -3, we would do an open circle and shade it to the left. I'm gonna pick another random one. I'm gonna do number 6. So maybe that the cursor is on this one. Okay. So number 6. I started and I said, all right, this looks like a regular old solvate. So I'm going to simplify the right side. I always want to get my variables together at this point, so I'm going to move this 8x over here. Oh, goodness gracious, that cancels as well. I get 10 is greater than or equal to 10. What is my final answer?
Do you just
Infinite solution.
Infinitely many solutions. Because this statement is true. 10 is greater than or equal to, because it's or equal to 10. So if the statement is true, your answer is infinitely many solutions. If the statement didn't make sense, like if it just said 10 is greater than 10, that wouldn't make sense. That would be no solution. You can graph infinitely many solutions. You pretty much just shade in the entire number line. Because infinitely many solutions just means I could pick any number for x and put it in, and it would give me a true statement. So the other ones are kind of just, regular solving, a little distributing, combining like terms. Number 1 has some fractions, so you can clear fractions the same way we did with equations, multiply everything by the common denominator. So we will finish these in a few minutes, but is there any other questions on 1 through 6, just as you were kind of glancing at them on your own? Okay. So we can kind of go back if we have time in the end and finish those up. I definitely wanted to go over the word problem so. And I just wanted to go over the other concepts on the back. Because once again, it's been a while since I've seen you, and it's totally understandable if you need to be refreshed on a few of the topics. These weird breaks, it's easy to forget stuff.
Oh,
Yes.
so on the 10 is greater than or equal to 10, you just fill in the whole thing.
Yeah, because since that's a true statement, it's infinitely many solutions, so it's every single number is an answer. I'm gonna do number 7 with you. I don't actually like the problem. There's not one like this on the assessment, but it's here, so we might as well do it. So you want to fence off a rectangular garden. It's adjacent to a building. So let's say this is my building, and then behind it, I'm gonna have this garden with this fence. Using a wall as one side, so this is the wall of the house. That kind of makes sense. You walk out and you have 3 sides of the fence, not 4. The length of the building is 12 feet, so the building is 12 feet this way, so that means this is 12 feet. You have 32 feet of fencing. What are the possible widths of the garden? So I want to find what are these widths. The same. So once again, I don't love this problem, but I'm just going to kind of do it with you. There is not one like this. All you would do is just say, I'm going to add up my sides of my fence, which are x plus 12. I have 32 feet of fencing, so I can have this be less than or equal to 32, right? Because it could be smaller than that. I don't need to use every piece of it. So I could use anything less than or equal to 32. And then this is a quick solve. Just kind of a not the nicest. So then I would subtract 12, and then I would just solve. And x could be less than or equal to 10 feet. Hopefully that makes sense, because if I had 10 here and 10 here, that gives me 20, plus 12 is 32. But I could also have it be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 feet in width as well. And any of those would work with the materials I have. So, there you go. Number 8 is more like something you may see tomorrow, so let me kind of focus more on that one. So a truck can safely carry not more than 1,000 pounds. So you see sometimes trucks have limits. A lot of things actually have weight limits, depending on what you're talking about. The owner is moving 35-pound boxes from one house to another. The worker weighs 200 pounds, his helper weighs 190 with the greatest number of boxes. What's the greatest number of boxes? So I'm going to say X is number of boxes. So I just think about it, okay. He's moving 35-pound boxes, so it's 35 pounds per box. Plus we have to take into account the worker and his helper, because they're going to be in the truck, so they count towards the weight limit. And if I say not more than, that means it's going to be less than or equal to 1,000. There's just knowing the keywords to get there. You can use a calculator tomorrow, so have one. I do have a few extra, but try to bring one that you know how to use. There's nothing worse than borrowing a calculator and then like not knowing where things are. Because I'm not giving you a tutorial, no offense. So I'm just using my calculator. I'm going to subtract 390. That gives me 610. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 610, so I'm just doing my work right in the calc. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to divide both sides by 35. I get 17.43. Now, please take into account kind of just logic and thinking and life. You either move a box or you don't. The boxes are 35 pounds. You can't move 0.43 of a box. So please take into account what makes sense. So in this case, we couldn't move 18 boxes. That would be way too heavy. So I would have to have less than or equal to 17 boxes. Once again, 18 would be too many, and I can't take part of a box. That would just ruin it. It'd be nothing to carry. If he has 95 boxes, how many trips will he take? That's just kind of, once again, using your logic. If he has 95 boxes, and he can take 17 boxes per trip, you just divide him. So I just divide out 95 over 17. That was just kind of a little extra there. It comes out to 5.58. So 5 wouldn't be quite enough. You can't take part of a trip, so it would take 6 trips. Once again, I'm not going to try to kill you on the word problems. They're similar to ones we've seen in the past. Take number 7 out of it. And we'll go here. So that's kind of more basic. And then on the back, we have compound with word problem. I just want to go over that. I know for a fact there's one like number 12 and then absolute value stuff. So let's just do a quick reminder of a few things. And then you guys will have a little bit of time to work, and then we'll check everything before we leave today. So hopefully you can clear anything up. Feel comfortable. What's up?
So I'm gonna try to explain this. So, just say you had like a word problem, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, it can't be like any greater, or like, it can't be greater than like 400 pounds.
Okay.
Like, which way would you put the inequality? Like, greater than 400? Like,
What do you mean?
like, just say you had to write out stuff here, and then you put 400 on this side.
So blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
400.
And then you were like, it can't be greater than.
It can't be greater than, so it would have to be less than.
Alright.
Does that make sense? Yeah. I know, it's really just in the wording, and you say can. Okay, so the two other setups we saw were compound inequalities and then absolute value. Compound just means when you're kind of putting things together, so you have more than one piece there. Number 9, you have some fractions. You can multiply everything by a common denominator, or those fractions are pretty doable. You could just actually solve it. I want to do 10. Just as a reminder again, that I go to the middle and I say, I need to solve for x, and I'm going to divide by -8. Whatever I do to the middle, I do to the right and to the left. The big thing on this one, and I'll remind you of it multiple times, is I'm dividing by a negative. So I need to flip both inequalities. What's 12 over 8? That reduces to 4. 3 halves. Oh my God, I can't. Losing my mind. So if I divide that by 4. Brain's not working today. Please, like little things that just because I've been teaching this forever that people tend to make. You see a 0 and a -3/2, and you just kind of throw them on there. Please make sure it makes sense with a number line. 0 should be here. A negative is always to the left of the 0, right? Or you could write -1.5, -1.5, that's fine. And then you're graphing. This says x is less than 0. Remember, I'm reading it backwards. If that freaks you out, then flip it. But at 0, I'm going to have an open circle. This says x is greater than or equal to -3/2. And in this case, if I'm less than this one and greater than that one, they would meet in the middle. Number 11, they're just kind of set up as 2. You just do them separately. You just do the or in the middle, and then they'd be going away from each other. I know there is a problem like number 12, so I want to do that one with you. And then I just want to quickly remind you of some absolute value stuff. So you need a B+, okay? That means you need between an 87 and an 89 to make this goal. And so far you've taken 4 exams. I want to know, what do I need on the 5th exam? Okay, to find an average, we add all of our tests up. I got an 82, a 91, a 79, and an 85, and then I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find. To find an average, I add them and then divide how many tests there are. There are going to be 5 tests. And to set up a compound inequality, since I want it between 2 values, I'm going to say it has to be greater than or equal to 87. and less than or equal to 89. So can you take the next minute or two, just while I finish up my attendance? And can you please solve and tell me what would you need on that 5th exam to figure out, or to get that B plus? If anyone needs a calculator, those are all nice and disinfected. I just wipe them down. Feel free to come grab one. I'm just gonna finish, or actually I'm just gonna do my attendance since I really started it. One of my most hated parts of my day is attendance. Have some more trigonometry. I'll give you one more minute, try to come up with a final answer. What grade do you need on your 5th test to get a B plus?
5 reasons. It's a hard. He actually I think, Dave,
Yeah, so what?
how old is he living in your bathroom? Yeah. Bro, what did your dad do? So, control it? That was hard training.
Okay.
How does it not fly away?
Whole other conversation.
Let's do a quick solve. First thing I did is I multiplied everything by 5. So that gives me 435 is less than or equal to. I'm going to combine those like terms. That gives me 337 plus x, because when I multiplied this by 5, it cancels it. And then I do that side by 5. And that gives me a 4, a 40, a 5. And then I'm going to subtract 337 from every section. Ooh, that's going to be toughy. So you're telling me I need between a 98, or what did I just do? 45, and a 108% for me to get a B plus. So we're reaching a
I
little.
didn't get close to that.
It's possible. Like 98, maybe 100 is possible. 108 is getting a little aggressive. You're not going to get on the high side of it.
Maybe you want that Kahoot.
Huh?
Maybe you want a Kahoot.
Oh, you got like grades for that? Oh.
Yeah.
Exciting.
What? What are we talking about?
You know, like
instead of 2. Wanted an extra grade. Yeah, depending on the class. So, you might be reaching a little, but that's what you would need. So something you might use in the future. We use averages a lot, especially the grades, but for other things too. All right, now I'm gonna do one of these last ones. I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to kind of just try a few and see how you're feeling. Answer any questions. And then your exam is tomorrow. Just as a heads up, if you're absent tomorrow, because like life happens, you still need to take it. So you will need to email me with or just email me and we can come up with a plan. Like I had someone absent from my cohort A and they're taking it tomorrow at the same time as you, but they're taking it at home via Google Meet. So you have to just remember when I only see you 2 days a week, if you are missing a day, it is important to understand you're not just exempt from that work. You gotta do it at some point. So we'll come up with a plan and kind of go from there. But it's a little bit harder to plan stuff and I only see a few days, so. So just as a reminder, absolute value inequalities, you're going to solve and graph them, okay? They are gonna be 2 answers, so that's something we wanna keep in the back of our head. And I always remember greater or less than, for my keywords or an and then also, to kind of remember what they're gonna look like on the graph. So I'm gonna pick 14, I'm gonna make you guys do 15. 14, before you start any absolute value inequality problem, you need to isolate the absolute value. So same thing over here, you would need to get that by itself. This one's already isolated, but please do not start splitting up as your first step. It needs to be isolated first. I'm gonna add 12 to both sides. I get the absolute value of 3x plus 5 is less than 10. Now I'm at the point that it's isolated, now I can split it up. So I'm gonna get 3x plus 5 is less than 10. 3x plus 5, I flip it and make it negative, is greater than negative 10. Okie dokie. Now I'm gonna solve. So the main goal is getting those 2. I'm gonna subtract 5 from each side, I get 3x is less than 5. So x would be less than 5/3. Getting fractions perfectly fine, feel free to just leave it as a fraction. Over here, I'm going to subtract, I get 3x is greater than negative 15, so x would be greater than negative 5. Okay guys, should I put the word or should I put the word and? You need to know this, it's and because that's less than. You need to have a keyword in the middle. If it's not there, you get points off. So just those hands up. Less than, if it was greater, you would put or. Just make sure your number line makes sense. 5/3 here, negative 5 over to the left. And they should be holding hands, but I always check x is less than 5/3 and greater than negative 5. So they hold hands in the middle, they're best friends. And then that would be your final. So for an absolute value, I expect to see you isolate it, split it up into 2 equations, solve them, write a keyword, and graph it correctly. So there's a few things I'm looking for there. So just make sure you feel comfortable with those steps. And in a minute, I'm gonna have you guys try the other ones and see how you're feeling. Oh, I'm just gonna turn off my vid.